There are over 750,000 trucking companies in America. More than 90% of them operate fewer than 6 trucks. But the majority of consistent contract freight, that flows through a tiny percentage of mega carriers. Now, I want you to picture this. You're sitting in Dallas. There's a mega carrier sitting in Dallas too. Same freight, same lane, same day. Okay? They're moving contract freight at $3.18 per mile. You're offered the freight for $1.85 on the spot market. And you know what's crazy? This is what you're told. Well, this is the market. No, it's not. That structure. Right now, brokers can see truck density in our markets. They can see acceptance behavior, on time performance, compliance patterns, and you get to see a rate on a load board. That's not equal leverage. When Washington pushed electronic compliance and they digitized freight infrastructure, they modernized logistics. But what they did was also modernize leverage because the side that controls the dashboard controls the negotiation. And small to medium carriers are feeling that shift right now. They're feeling it first. According to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, over 90% of carriers operate small fleets. Carriers with over 100 trucks represent less than 1% of authorities. So numerically, trucking is dominated by small carriers, but freight volume is distributed evenly. Large fleets like JB Hunt, Snyder National, Knight Swift, Warner, they control massive long-term contract freight networks. Scale is rare in number, but dominant in volume. That's the imbalance. From a broker's risk model, scale simplifies everything for them. One mega carrier means one compliance system, one claims department, one tracking integration, one performance model, predictable capacity. 200 small fleets, well, now you got 200 variables. Scale reduces friction. That's operational math. But when freight consolidates upstream, access narrows downstream. Now, let's go back to Dallas. All right. So the Mega's $3.18 per mile rate, that was negotiated months in advance. It was locked in, it was volume protected. And what's bad is your $1.85 per mile, that's overflow freight. That's residual freight. That's uncommitted freight. You're not even negotiating in the same tier as them. You're negotiating in the leftover tier. Really. You see, that's why it feels so uneven, because structurally, it is. It's crazy, right? Now, let's layer in all the technology that's happening. We've got platforms like MacroPoint, FourKites, you got like Project 44, you got Trucker Tools. Man, there is so many apps out there that drivers are using. I can't even keep up with all of it myself. It's wild how technology has grown. These apps give brokers real-time supply awareness. Not a secret, they're not a secret truck radar, but aggregated density signals. So if Dallas lights up with available capacity, rates will soften because supply is visible. When one side sees supply in real time and the other side negotiates blind, the negotiation isn't equal. I don't care what they say. Now, here's what most drivers don't think about, and this is what my office has been pushing me to talk more about with you guys. I've told you, there's some really smart people in here, a lot smarter than me. Today's carriers and drivers use dozens of apps, load boards, fuel discount apps, ELD integration. They're using navigation apps, TMS platforms, factoring portals, freight matching tools. Most of these platforms operate inside a connected data ecosystem. Aggregated data, pooled, analyzed, becomes serious market intelligence. Companies don't need your truck number. They need density patterns, lane activity, capacity signals. When thousands of small carriers plug into digital platforms, the overall visibility picture becomes sharper, and sharper visibility improves price and precision. That's not illegal. That's called data monetization. But the side that aggregates the data improves its negotiating model. And small carriers often unknowingly contribute to the visibility system that tightens price and pressure all around them. Bet you didn't know that. That's not paranoia. This is how modern digital marketplaces function today. When Washington required electronic logging devices, when compliance became digital, when freight visibility became standardized, they modernized logistics. That improved efficiency, okay? I'll give them that. But digitization creates data streams. Data streams create dashboards, and dashboards centralize leverage. I don't believe the policymakers intended to disadvantage small to medium carriers. I hope they didn't. Excuse me. But I do believe that the downstream economic impact was well underestimated. Because when data aggregates, bargaining power shifts, and it shifts towards whoever controls the dashboard. Mega carriers smooth volatility across scale. Weak lanes get offset elsewhere. Fuel is negotiated at volume. Insurance is structured differently. And cash flow absorbs swings. A 5 truck fleet doesn't have that insulation. If they lose 40 cents per mile on a lane, they can go out of business overnight. So when freight consolidates, data centralizes, supply visibility increases, margin pressure builds, and small and medium carriers absorb all of it first. If you're sitting in Dallas watching a mega move $3.18 per mile freight while you're offered $1.85, it's not because you forgot how to run a truck. It's because you're negotiating inside a system that is optimized for scale and it's being reinforced by centralized data. The industry is numerically dominated by small to medium carriers, but structurally it's optimized for consolidation. And when leverage concentrates, margins compress. And small and mid-sized fleets are operating on thinner capital buffers. So when that structural pressure builds, they're going to be the ones to get crushed first. That's structural economics. And that's why you're seeing so many small to medium-sized trucking companies today are filing for bankruptcy during this freight turnover. Not because they forgot how to run freight, but because the leverage environment changed all around them. This is not emotion. This is not conspiracy. But this is what is actually happening with all this data that's being collected. And this is why brokers are having such a bigger advantage over everyone else. This is Big Rig Nation, and we're going to tell the truth about what's happening in the industry.